Hi, this is Megha Joshi, the host of the Boardroom Zen podcast. This show is created for the ambitious business leaders. Are you someone wanting to play big? Want to possess a strong brand and executive presence that makes you belong in every room you walk into? And all of this without putting your personal life on hold? If the answer to those questions is yes, then you are in the right place. In this show, I sit down with best-in-class leaders to distill their wisdom while sharing what helped me stand out as a Fortune 100 executive. So let's get started. Our discussion today revolves around a topic that is so imperative for personal and professional growth that I truly believe it should be taught in classrooms everywhere. I'm talking about the power of networking. Yes, a force that can work for you no matter the social or economic barriers you face, unlocking a world of new possibilities. So are you ready? Okay, we're going to start by debunking a few myths about networking. So here we go. Myth number 1. Networking is an activity we engage in when we seek a specific outcome or when we want something. For instance, a new job, an upward move, or a new business opportunity. This couldn't be more wrong, in my opinion. Networking is supposed to be something we do all year round. It needs to be integrated into our professional DNA. And by specifically reaching out to our network when we want something makes it very transactional in nature. And in my own experience, real deep networking truly happens when there's no expectations from the other person. When we are just connecting, we are just wanting to know who the other person is and potentially even find opportunities to help them. And so I will say that new opportunities or upward moves in collaborations can be a byproduct of networking. There's nothing wrong with that, but they should never be the ultimate goal of networking. Otherwise, it defeats the whole point, right? Looking back at my life, I can attest from my own lived experiences where there've been numerous times in my career when I wasn't even looking for an opportunity or for a new role, but my network presented those opportunities to me when I wasn't even asking for it. And that to me is real deep networking. And as I look back at these turn of events and what had truly happened, I now know that this happened because I, as an individual, had put myself out there and I had made my professional goals and ambitions known to my network without truly wanting to get something out of them. And as a result, I was building real meaningful relationships. And that network, by virtue of those relationships, was scanning for opportunities on my behalf. And so being honest and very clear about your goals in your conversations with your network, I believe, is a game changer. So let's move to myth number 2. Networking is all about attending large events and conferences. Absolutely not. Effective networking is really not about the quantity of connections you build and how many people in a day or a month you talk to in a large gathering or what have you. It's really about the quality and depth of relationships that you are building. It's the meaningful interactions you're having with people. And in my personal opinion, real deep networking happens in one-on-one conversations, in small knit groups, because that's when you go deep and you get to know the other person and what keeps them up at night and what keeps them going. What are they passionate about? So being curious really goes a long way, and you can't really have those conversations in a large group setting. It needs to be more intimate. And in reality, it doesn't even have to be in a business setting. My best networking conversations have been just to chat over a beer or over a brisk walk in the building or just a virtual chat, a quick 15-minute chat with somebody I've been meaning to connect with, or maybe a phone call on my commute back home. And so it doesn't have to be formal. It can be something that's real and in the moment. So let's talk about myth number 3. Networking is self-promotion. Absolutely not. Real networking is all about having a genuine interest in others. It's not about faking our interest in others or faking who we are or being overly in other people's face to promote ourselves. It's about being honest and genuine about who you are, what you bring to the table with confidence, and ultimately creating win-win situations for both parties. And yes, there may be an element of self-promotion, but I would argue that there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's being done with the right intention and there is a state of balance in our conversation where we are also looking to help the other person win. And at the end of the day, if you're not going to promote yourself, who else will? And so we need to get over that mindset block that we sometimes carry and that limits us in many ways. In my opinion, real networking is about exchange of ideas and opportunities and power. So up next, let's chat about 2 strategies that I deploy when it comes to building and nurturing my network. So number 1, be very intentional about building a diverse network. A common mistake I see, and I've been a culprit to that, is limiting our network to the companies or teams we are a part of. And so I encourage you to go beyond the organization you work for. Look at who else can you network within the industry, and then go even beyond that and network with people outside your industry. And as you look at your network, make sure to bring in diversity of race, gender, and ideas. Don't just network with people who think like you, look like you, and act like you. Because in those scenarios, you're not necessarily learning anything new. You are not challenging your own perspective, and as a result, you're not growing. So when you have a rich and diverse network, you have more leverage when it comes to innovative thinking and range of possibilities. So think about it. So the next practice I will share with you is taking a disciplined approach to networking. And trust me, this is a space that majority of us struggle with. We go in, hit it off with someone, have an absolutely phenomenal conversation, and then we forget about them until few months, years have gone by, they cross our mind, potentially because we're in need of something from them. And that doesn't work. And so what I do is I take a more methodical approach where I document my network on a Google spreadsheet, and I essentially determine what frequency I'm going to connect with that person on an ongoing basis. And it could be monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, once a year, so on and so forth. And I also document the industry or brief snippets of the conversation I had with them. So I don't really rely on my memory to serve me when the next time I connect with them. And so building this cadence and potentially adding some calendar reminders for you to reach back out, I believe goes a really, really long way. And I will say that sending holiday wishes does not count as networking. It is not. And so I'd like to share one resource with you, which has helped me immensely when it comes to figuring out my approach to networking. It's a book called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. This book is a New York Times bestseller, and it talks about the life of this person that came from a very small town in humble beginnings, someone who was the son of a cleaning lady. And this person rose from these humble beginnings and made his way to Yale. He got a Harvard MBA, and he went on to become a very successful executive. And so in this book, Keith, this person, talks about his system or methodology that he used to network, which then opened doors of new possibilities for him. And so I found this book really helpful in figuring out my own networking approach. So I highly recommend it. And in closing, I'd like to share this very powerful quote by Porter Gale that says, "Your network is your net worth." Yes, your network is your net worth. And so from this point on, let's be very intentional about our professional network, as it has the power to take us places we could have never imagined. There is no better time than now to stop playing small and tap into your zone of genius. With a Boardroom Zen executive coach by your side, experience the game-changing transformation, both internally and externally. Find out more on boardroomzen.com. And thank you for listening to my show. It means so much to me. I'd love for you to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite listening platform. More power to you, and hope to see you soon.